legal challenges facing Trump ally Steve Bannon. A federal grand jury indicting Bannon for contempt of Congress.
Now, the charges stem from his failure and refusal to comply with the subpoena from the committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. Bannon is crucial to the investigation. He encouraged Donald Trump to come back to Washington for the rally that turned into a riot. Here is what Bannon said on January 5th, the day before the insurrection. Listen.
All hell is going to break loose tomorrow. And tomorrow it's game day. I've met so many people through my life said, man, if I was a revolution, I would be with Washington at Trenton. Well, you know, this is for your time in history.
Former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows playing a very similar game as Bannon. Meadows refusing to show up for a deposition yesterday. The January 6th committee has issued 35 subpoenas to individuals and organizations as part of its investigation into the Capitol riot. Several of them are Trump's closest allies from his time at the White House and on the campaign trail. We're going to be watching to see whether former White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany, former senior advisor Jason Miller, or former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn show up and cooperate with the committee.
All right, so let's get more now on the Bannon indictment from CNN's Zachary Cohen. Zach, so tell us more about what exactly Bannon is charged with.
Well, Boris and Amra, things got real for Steve Bannon yesterday in a lot of ways. We were in the courtroom when the grand jury returned its indictment. We have two different counts here. One count is for failing to appear for a deposition. As you mentioned, the other is for refusing to hand over documents that the committee demanded that he do. That he hand over. And so now he faces a potential maximum sentence of 1 year in prison for each count if he's convicted. So what does this mean and how did we get here? Bannon was subpoenaed in October and really thumbed his nose at the committee. Attorney General Merrick Garland faced a lot of questions, especially in recent days, about when he might indict Bannon. The big decision came down yesterday, and now Bannon, his future is uncertain.
And Zach, do we know specifically what information committee members want, what, like the documents that they're looking for, what they want to ask, what they're trying to get from these subpoenas?
The committee is interested in Steve Bannon for a variety of reasons. Among them is they want to know more about Bannon's contact with Trump in the days leading up to January 6th and potentially on that day. They also want to know more about Bannon's role in the so-called Willard Hotel war room, which is where Bannon watched this January 6th riot unfold. It remains to be seen if they'll get any answers from Bannon. He has been resistant to any cooperation so far, but yesterday's news of the indictment surely increases those chances.
All right, Zachary Cohen, really a big development we will continue to follow this morning. Thank you so much for your reporting. All right, let's get reaction now to the Bannon indictment from Capitol Hill.
CNN congressional reporter Daniela Diaz joins us now live. Daniela, what are you hearing from lawmakers and what could this potentially mean for Mark Meadows?
Boris, Amara, lawmakers, especially the ones on this committee, were very quick to react after the indictment came down on Steve Bannon yesterday, saying that this sends an incredibly strong message to any other witnesses that the committee calls on that refuse to comply with the committee's investigation. Of course, you mentioned Mark Meadows. Yesterday, he was supposed to have a deposition with the committee at 10 a.m., but he did not appear. He was also asked to turn over very key documents that he did not turn over. And as a result, the committee chairman, Benny Thompson, saw this coming Thursday night and moved forward with possibly referring Mark Meadows for also criminal contempt, which is what happened with Steve Bannon. So it seems that Steve Bannon might not be the only witness who goes through this process. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how the committee reacted. Chairman Benny Thompson and Vice Chairwoman Liz Cheney issued a statement after the indictment yesterday of Steve Bannon. This is what they said. Steve Bannon's indictment should send a clear message to anyone who thinks they can ignore the Select Committee or try to stonewall our investigation. No one is above the law. We will not hesitate to use the tools at our disposal to get the information we need. Now, other members of the committee also reacted, namely Adam Schiff. This is what he said in a tweet. A grand jury just indicted Steve Bannon for contempt of Congress. Let this send a message to all those with knowledge of the attack on our democracy. The days defying subpoenas with impunity are over. We will expose those responsible for January 6th. No one is above the law. Now, the bottom line here is that there are a lot of Republicans in Congress, Republicans across the country, namely, of course, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, that call this investigation a scam because the two Republicans that were appointed by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi are Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, two moderate Republicans who are strong critics of former President Donald Trump. But this really shows and sends a strong message to any witnesses that refuse to comply with the committee's subpoenas that if they don't comply, they have the process of the judicial system process behind them. And something like what happened to Steve Bannon yesterday could happen for any other witness who refuses to comply with the committee's investigation. So the bottom line here is this is a very strong message to those other Trump allies who might not cooperate.
Daniela Diaz reporting from Capitol Hill. Thanks so much. Let's bring in CNN legal analyst Elliot Williams. He's here to break down what this all means for Steve Bannon and the January 6th committee. Elliot served as a deputy assistant attorney general in the Obama administration. He's also a former federal prosecutor. Elliot, as always, thanks so much for getting up bright and early for us. Bannon is expected to self-surrender on Monday. Given the basic facts of the case, he refused to appear, he refused to hand over documents. If you were on his defense team, what would you mount as a defense? What could keep him from getting convicted?
Well, I mean, to be clear, as a defendant, he doesn't need to mount a defense. It's his right to not bring anything, to not rebut the charges at all. Look, this was a very interesting case to start with because he's got the weakest argument of any witness here. Number one, he wasn't a government employee at the time. Number two, he's a purely political aide to the president. And number three, as you played the clip at the beginning of the segment, Boris, a number of the statements here were on a podcast, not even a conversation with the president. So it's not a particularly strong case. Now, the question is he mounting a legal strategy or sort of a broader political or communications or social one? And, he's succeeded there, right? By making himself a martyr in a sense, and some defendants may choose to do that. It appears that that's the case here. But no, this is not, as a straight up legal matter, this is not a great case for this defendant. It'll take some time to go through the process. But no, he does not have a particularly strong legal argument.
And of course, the battle over executive privilege looms over potential cases against Mark Meadows and Jeffrey Clark because they have the argument that they were in positions at the time where they could exert executive privilege, or rather the president could exert executive privilege over his communications with them. Bannon was out of the White House in 2017. So if you're Mark Meadows or one of his attorneys, how concerning is this for you?
Now, to be clear, Mark Meadows is in a slightly different position, as you said, Boris, as the former White House chief of staff. Not all communications with the president are created equal, and I will be candid that Mark Meadows just has a better case than most. Now, he did not do himself any favors legally by just refusing to show up. The other person you identified there, Jeffrey Clark, came in, provided about an hour of perfunctory answers, but still complied with the subpoena. And it's going to be very hard to charge someone like that with defying a subpoena. If he came in the first place, the law requires you to respond. It doesn't require you to respond in a way that the public or that Congress agrees with. So, I think you'd be hard pressed to charge Jeffrey Clark. Again, Meadows is a different case because he does, or at least the former president will have a stronger privilege claim with respect to conversations with Mark Meadows, but he didn't come in. And so on account of that fact, that's open defiance of a subpoena, and that's just a tougher call for the Justice Department to have to make.
So Democrats have been vocal recently in wanting the Justice Department to be more proactive in enforcing the ability of Congress to conduct these kinds of investigations, to make these subpoenas carry weight. Sources, though, say that the Department of Justice officials at DOJ didn't think that this was such a simple choice. What does the whole process tell you about Merrick Garland as Attorney General and the way that he's been running the Justice Department?
Yeah, so a couple things. One, as somebody, I have worked at both Congress and the Justice Department, and a lot of people don't know that Congress doesn't just name post offices. They are an investigative body, and their subpoenas ought to carry weight. And it is important that the Justice Department step in to enforce them when they've been violated. But sort of, as I said earlier, not every case is going to be created equal. And it's just not going to be efficient or wise for the Justice Department to charge every single individual who violates a subpoena or doesn't come in. Because, like I said, in the Jeffrey Clark example, sometimes people come in and don't answer a lot. Sometimes people give some documents but not others. It will be interesting over the course of this to see if witnesses continue to just not show up in the manner, frankly, that the former president directed his senior staff to do, going back to his time as presidency. If you remember, there was the line, "We're going to fight all the subpoenas," which was itself unprecedented for a president to take that kind of posture with respect to Congress.